This is
Make It Plain.
Make It Plain.
MIP
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make It Plain.
Get woke.
Happy Kwanzaa once again, ladies and gentlemen, and we welcome back to Make It Plain with us all week, as he always is this time of year, the professor and chair of the Department of Africana Studies at Cal State Long Beach, chair of the organization US and the National Association of Kawaida Organizations, executive director of the Pan-African Cultural Center and the Kawaida Institute of Pan-African Studies, co-chair of the Black Community Clergy and Labor Alliance, the author of numerous scholarly articles and books, including Kawaida and Questions of Life and Struggle, Maat, The Moral Ideal in Ancient Egypt, Selections from the Husia, Sacred Wisdom of Ancient Egypt, Introduction to Black Studies, 4th edition, and Odu Ifa, The Ethical Teachings. He is the subject of the book by Dr. Molefi Asante entitled Maulana Karenga, An Intellectual Portrait. He is currently writing a major work on Haji Malcolm X, the liberation ethics, critical consciousness, moral grounding, and transformative struggle. But he is here this week in his capacity as the creator of the Pan-African cultural holiday Kwanzaa and the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, and also he is the author of the authoritative text entitled Kwanzaa, a celebration of family, community, and culture. Joining us once again is the creator of Kwanzaa, Dr. Maulana Karenga. Dr. Karenga, habari gani?
Ujima, habari gani? So, today we speak of Ujima, and we talk about lifting up the light that lasts for our annual theme, celebrating Kwanzaa in difficult and demanding time, lifting up the light that lasts. And so today we want to lift up the lasting light of Ujima. So let us light the candle and lift up the lasting light of Ujima, collective work and responsibility. This calls us to, quote, build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. I think about this now and how it helped us to transform in our own organization and within the movement to move from the sexism that was pervasive in the world, not just in our organization or in Black organizations or all that. It was in the world to move from sexism to equality and life-loving struggle between men and women, right? And so in it was what the sisters used to call for a practice of the principles we were teaching, to reach inside the best of our thinking, our sensibility, our thought, and ask for a practice that reflects the best of what it means to be African and human in the world. And it says to make our brothers and sisters problems, our problems, and solve them together. And we all had a shared problem of unfreedom. We all had a shared problem of injustice. We all had a shared problem of inequality. We all had a shared problem of less than the power we needed. And in order to do it, to get it, in order to get freedom, in order to get justice, in order to get equality, in order to acquire the power we need to transform our lives, we had to think in cooperative terms, in communitarian terms. We had to stress family, community, and the best of our culture, the best of what it means to be African and human in the fullest sense. And that meant working together as brothers and sisters in life-loving struggle, right? And so this speaks to our building community together, sharing burdens and benefit, and constantly striving and struggling to achieve the good world we all want and deserve to live in and leave as a legacy worthy of the name and history of Africa. That's so important for us. Ujima collective work and responsibility also reminds us and reaffirms the enduring and essential truth that we must build the good world we all want and deserve to live in. We said it before in the 60s, we say it now. We are our own liberators. a people that cannot save itself is lost forever. That no matter how numerous or sincere our allies are, those who would be free must strike the first, the final, and decisive blow. Our honored ancestor, Nana Frederick Douglass, said to us that we must struggle for ourselves. We must take the initiative in our liberation struggle, or even people won't respect us if we don't fight for ourselves, if we don't defend ourselves, if we don't go on the offensive for ourselves in our righteous and relentless struggle for freedom and justice in the world. Because he recognized what we later also recognized, that we are key people in a key country, and that our liberation would not only free this country of the grotesque grafts of capitalism and racism and all the other isms that are constraints on human life and human development and on the well-being of the world, that unless we struggle in this consciousness and realize we expand the realm of freedom as we struggle, we won't live our historical role, and we won't honor it in the way that our ancestors wanted us to. Together we must do this. We should say, pamoja tutashinda. Together we will win, without a doubt. Bila shaka, pamoja tutashinda. Without a doubt, we will win. Together we will win. So, Ujima, again, reminds us of this essential truth, enduring truth, that we must build a good world we all want and deserve to live in. It teaches us the centrality of togetherness in our own constant quest for inclusive freedom, justice, and peace. And it reaffirms the reality that only in collective work and responsibility can we achieve freedom, ensure justice, and build the peace and security of persons and people we all long for and struggle for in this country and around the world. And I say the world because we have to think world. We can't think ghetto. We have to think world. We can't think just community in this country. We must think world. Haji Malcolm said we must see ourselves in the world structure of things, in the world process of things, right? All over the world, people are struggling. And he said, we're a part of that struggle to change the world for the better. And as Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune taught us, quote, our task is to remake the world. It is nothing less than that. And we must do this together. We must do this together for freedom, justice, peace, and other goods are indivisible. We have to do it because freedom is indivisible. We have to work together because freedom is indivisible. Justice is indivisible. All the great goods of humankind are good. Peace is a shared good, right? In fact, our ancestor says, exceedingly good is the presence of peace, and there is no blame in peace for those who practice it. And so we're committed to peace. But as we have said in the 60s, a peace with justice. Before, as Dr. King said, peace is not simply the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice. And we must see these are indivisible. And they are vulnerable and unattainable in isolation. We make freedom vulnerable, and justice and peace and equality, all of it, equity, all vulnerable when we are in isolation, in our silos, and don't come up to join hands, to join the struggle, to wage a righteous and relentless struggle. And we know from the hard lessons of history and the irreducible requirements of our humanity that there can be no peace without justice, no justice without freedom, and no freedom without the power, will, and struggle of the peoples of the world to achieve and sustain these shared and vital goods. I need to repeat that again because I want you to see that Ujima tells us that not only we must struggle together, but we must see the great goods of humanity and the world as indivisible, shared goods, right? We can't have freedom without justice. We can't have justice without freedom. We can't have peace without justice or freedom. We have to fight for all of them at once. For we know from the hard lessons of history, I repeat, we learn from the hard lessons of history and the irreducible requirements of our humanity that there can be no peace. There can be no peace without justice, no justice without freedom, and no freedom without the power of our people and the will and struggle of the peoples of the world to achieve and sustain these goods, these shared and vital goods. Let us lighting the candle of Ujima, collective working responsibility then, commit ourselves to work for the good of the world we all want and deserve to live in. In a word, as Odu Ifa of ancient Yoruba land says, creating a world where there's full knowledge of things, happiness everywhere, peace abundant, well-being for us and the world, security of person, and where everyone can live lives of dignity and decency in a context of maximum human freedom and human flourishing. Again, grounded in these 7 principles and practices, we can indeed, in these difficult and demanding times, still build toward a new future. We can weather the worst of winters, disperse and drive away the darkness that would envelop us, and we lift up the light that lasts of shared and inclusive good in the world. Indeed, if we read and believe the sacred narratives we call our history, the written, oral, and living practice texts of our ancestors and our people as a whole, we know from Nana Howard Thurman that we are people indeed that can ride the storms of history, even the hurricanes of history, and remain intact. With Nana Gwynbrook, we are people that can and have conducted our blooming, even in the noise and whip of a whirlwind. And with Nana Bearers, we are the ones who have in history and continue to specialize in the wholly impossible. So let me just reaffirm, given our history, we have to be assured that there is no winter we cannot weather, no storm we cannot ride out and remain intact, no whirlwind we cannot conduct our blooming in, and no possible situation that will enfeeble or falsify our claim that we are a people that specialize in the wholly impossible. Continue to struggle, keep the faith, and hold the line. It is our Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa, one and all, on this day of Ujima. We light now the green candle closest to the black candle, right next to Umoja, and collective work and responsibility. Some of us have said, I'm giving up, brother. We're not making it. I'm tired. But as Dr. Karenga is teaching us, we have responsibility. We are a key people in a key nation. We cannot think ghetto. I think that's the quote of the day. We must think world. And so this is our calling. This is what we do. And Ujima, collective work and responsibility, guides us in doing so. As always, we're thankful to Dr. Karenga on this 3rd day of Kwanzaa. Tomorrow, Ujima. Stay tuned. Gather around as we celebrate Kwanzaa and light the Kanaro. Happy Kwanzaa, everyone. Habarigani.
Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. As always, perform an act of kindness on behalf of an elder or young person. Write a letter to a sister or brother who just so happens to find her or himself incarcerated. Offer libations to the ancestors upon whose sturdy shoulders we all now stand. And above all, give thanks to the God of your understanding by whatever name you call her and him. All God asks of us is that we give each other love. Thanks for giving MIP love. And please remember to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.